Hi everyone, it's Karen, and I just want to talk a bit about choices today. So, we're in January still, a new year. Did you set any New Year's resolutions? Are you taking action towards them? You know, it's one thing to say, I want to change this about my life, and another thing to actually go ahead and change it. And that's what we call the knowing doing gap. Why do we get stuck on taking action? Well, one reason why it's difficult for us to fulfill our ambitions and resolutions is because sometimes we find ourselves up against a world that appears to be conspiring to prevent our progress. We say, well, I wouldn't have done it this way if it hadn't been for those circumstances or that situation and these factors. And then we can begin to resent it all or feel as if we're imposed upon by it all. And yet we don't seem to be able to alter it. And then we feel like victims of circumstance. And there's nothing that we can do. We might as well go back to doing what we've always done. And often that's the case with promises that we make to ourselves. No matter how sincerely we created it in our heart of hearts, we find that enthusiasm is countered by an apparent impossibility. And I mention this because that's not how it needs to be. Excuse me. In fact, there is another way. In fact, you can create an easier lifestyle and you can stand tall. Perhaps to some extent you've been pushed around rather than you taking charge. So, where you're used to dealing with the world that requires things from you, now you've got to do this, now you're expected to be here, now you've got to attend to that obligation and take care of that responsibility. And even a part of you is demanding that of yourself. I have to do this. I should do that. You can make a decision and set the agenda much more clearly and more successfully. That includes your daily personal agenda. The agenda that's got something to do with the choices that you make and with the things that you allow into your life. And the things that you've done, that sense of having a freedom of choice is so important. And I'm highlighting it because when you come from that perception that you have that power and the choice, you can set the agenda, you can let go of obligation to respond differently to people and situations. You know, you do have that power. So lead yourself. And don't be surprised that when you make the right conscious choices for your situations, you never have to go back to the way that they were. That ought to be freeing for you. A sense of liberation, of positive change. You shouldn't really be looking over your shoulder. I mean, stand tall in who you are and what you're all about. Move forwards towards those aspirations. And as you start to see in your mind events unfold in front of you, as you begin to become inspired by a possibility and imagine, I'd really like this. I really think this might be attainable for me. Or I actually believe that if I do this, then I can have that, I can get that. And then if circumstances conspire in my favour rather than against me, this might occur. Or possibly it's easy to think of someone you admire or aspire to and ask yourself, what would they do? Well, each time you have such a thought process, you'll discover that it's inspiration, and those really are the thoughts and ideas to listen to and take action on. You are heading in the right direction. You'll be making some wise choices. and you'll yet make more wise choices, and they all lead you further towards a world where it seems more to you like you're picking and choosing what works for you, and less like you're continually responding to what's being imposed on you. That's true of your love life, that's true of your financial outlook, and your story is going to be a tale of a person who gets used to a new set of factors and begins to feel a lot more comfortable driving this vehicle of their life. You know, it can be a bit daunting at first in a new powerful car, can't it? Until you get used to it, and then eventually you're realising, oh, this could be a bit tricky, but no. You can be sure of who you are and what you're all about. You can drive this car very well. It's going to take a bit of practice, but the road is easier when you stay focused in your own lane. And that's true for every area of your life. I hope this message finds you well, and I will see you in February. Bye for now.